I've covered tech almost 25 years. What I saw yesterday in LA, I think was a game changer. And look, short on details, I get it, but this is the new chapter, the new book for Tesla.
What did you actually see, Dan, that got you so excited? Because for the majority of us, we're sort of trying to guess what we're looking at. We weren't at the event. We don't know how good the sort of autonomous cyber cab looks like. We saw Optimus, which is those robots, and the sort of suggestion that this could cost the same as a car and be like a personal robot in your house. I mean, it is a vision of the future that most of us, quite frankly, can't grasp. Can you see, because you were there in person, real potential versus, as Claire was saying, sort of sci-fi optimism?
Well, yeah, look, what Claire's talking about, I mean, the sci-fi optimism, maybe that was 3-4 years ago. Here, you look at Cybercab, I mean, I think there could be 70, 80,000 of these on the road as we go into 2026, 2027. In terms of test driving it, smooth ride, no issues in terms of what I see with the interventions. In other words, like, I feel like they are getting closer and closer to what's essentially full autonomous, and those cars, no steering wheel, no pedal. When you look at Optimus, I mean, you're talking about a robot that you're interacting with that's literally making margaritas for guests while taking selfies. The point is, like, this now goes into a new age. You talk about AI. This is going to be one of the biggest use cases when it comes to robotic as well as autonomous.
You know, I read one article today, Dan, that was saying that actually this highlights how much potential actually Nvidia has and how advanced they are, but also for other players, be it Uber, that are in this autonomous vehicle space, actually how advanced they are relative to Tesla. Do you buy any of that?
Look, it's not a zero-sum game. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about, as me and you have talked about many times, fourth industrial revolution. The AI revolution led by Godfather of AI, Jensen, Nvidia. But many others across tech are going to be huge winners, from Apple to Amazon to Uber. And I continue to think Tesla is front and center. Now, it looks scarce on details. We all know Musk is not going to, really go up there and give so many details. This lays the groundwork for what I kind of view as this AI chapter, this really AI future at Tesla.
Very quickly, Dan, do you think they could give us more detail if they wanted to?
I think they also have to be careful. Can't give away the playbook, right? So last thing they want to do, give details that maybe have to get pushed back. You don't want to, you want to take genie out of the bottle, can't put it back in. These were product you saw front and center. Anyone that was at that event, I mean, if you came away more negative, I don't really understand it, just given what I saw from a pure technology perspective.
Imagine an unseen chessboard in the universe's wealth game, where the pieces are names like Musk, Zuckerberg, and Bezos. Today's intriguing move involves not just the fortunes, but also the unpredictable maneuvers of Tesla Inc. and its audacious CEO, Elon Musk. While Tesla's stock dipped by 10% this year, Musk's wealth rocketed upward, positioning him again at the peak of financial titans worldwide. This unexpected twist has captivated the financial masses and set prediction markets abuzz, attempting to forecast the world's richest person by the end of 2024. At the heart of this narrative are familiar titans such as Amazon's Jeff Bezos and Oracle's Larry Ellison, each vying for their place on this elite leaderboard. Stick around as we unravel what makes this financial drama worth every dollar of attention. Welcome back, everyone, to Investocracy.
Shares of Tesla sinking today after its robotaxi event underwhelmed investors. Several analyst notes calling it, quote, disappointing. My next guest says he disagrees. Says the event was a, quote, glimpse of the future and the next generation transportation. Joining me now, Post 9's Wedbush's Dan Ives. So you say you left that event in which you were there in person more bullish on this story. How?
I mean, it's all about, clearly details were obviously scarce, and that's partially why the stock's down. But in terms of Cybercab, in terms of what we saw, what's really going to be over the next, call it 18, 24 months, You look at Optimus in terms of what I view as robotics, where right now there's no value for Optimus in the story. And I think most importantly, in terms of the unsupervised FSD that's going to really be rolled out throughout all the Tesla models, at least California, Texas, into next year. And I think that's why, to me, I'm not talking in the next quarter or two that's moving the needle. But in terms of the next few years, I believe it's a game changer to the broader story.
You saw what might be, not what is, and there really is no real idea of when exactly this is actually going to hit the street. You want to take issue with that?
Well, I'd say first, and look, in terms of price per mile, I think the big focus was, could they get under 50 cents? Musk talked about 20 cents per mile, potentially with taxes 30 to 40 cents. When you look at Cybercab, and clearly the two-person Cybercab, this is something where, as this goes through the next 3 to 4 years, there's no reason this can't ultimately be 10, 15, 20% overall profits for Tesla as this all ramps up, just given what our view of the overall ride-sharing market and what they could gain, and it comes down to 1.5 billion miles driven.
So the stock had a significant move on anticipation of this event. The event, to many, underwhelmed. Therefore, not justifying the multiple that the stock has expanded to. That's JP Morgan's note today. They see substantial risk to multiple compression after the big rally into what they call a underwhelming day.
I think we look back at last night, 3-4 years from now, as a historical moment. And the reason I say that,
because they held an event and showed you these prototypes.
Sure. I think it's more than prototypes, because ultimately I think the next leg of the story in terms of autonomous, I believe they will be a clear leader in broader autonomous. And I think it shows now, when you look at Cybercab, that's just one piece. I think the other reason the stock's down is Model 2, lower cost vehicle, they didn't show it. I think they're not going to show, we never expected they're going to show that at the event. I still believe that's the 2025 story. So I think broader, you look at, I think, demand stabilizing, just a robust China quarter. I think COGS is going to come down. You got Model 2 or 2.5 in 2025. And then when I look at the future, next 2 or 3 years, you look at Cybercab, you look at Optimus, you look at just some of the parts. I argue the AI story, it is the most undervalued AI name in the market.
I understand, but
in the ever-evolving saga of wealth, none seem as dynamic or as steeped in mystery as Elon Musk's ascent. Despite Tesla's stock stumbling, Musk's fortunes kept ascending, fueling both admiration and curiosity. As Bloomberg highlights, Musk's wealth sits at an impressive $255 billion, amplifying by $25.7 billion this year, despite Tesla's stock hiccup. Meanwhile, Amazon's Bezos and LVMH's Bernard Arnault watch from staggered positions, with stellar rises from Meta's Mark Zuckerberg and Nvidia's Jensen Huang, providing unexpected performances, Huang almost scoring points like a beloved underdog at the investing Olympics. But what grants Musk such immunity to Tesla's share dips? Is it his influence, strategy, or perhaps his unique ability akin to stock market alchemy? It brings to mind what Warren Buffett once said: "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient." Perhaps Musk's resilience lies in his visionary patience combined with his trademark unpredictability, two traits investors might want as North Stars. Consider the buzz from Kalshi's prediction markets, where some folks quite literally are betting the house. With $72,000 already staked on predictions around the richest individual come year-end, investors are chiming in as if this is Super Bowl betting season. Musk holds a towering 82% odds in this cerebral venue, lending the drama of his journey a fascinating gambling spin. But before we go any further, if you want to keep up with Tesla's latest updates and keep up with the stock market's latest news, you can follow our Twitter account. We post multiple times daily about the biggest changes and catalysts in the market, so click the follow button if you don't want to miss the newest market updates.
I'm trying to get my arms around how you're trying to value a stock based on some level of identifiable fundamentals.
Sure.
Are you telling me that you came away from that event last night satisfied with the details that you got?
Yeah, and
because your colleagues at other places were not. Adam Jonas. That's it? Disappointing lack of detail. Tony Sacconaghi, stunningly absent in detail. Wells Fargo, little substance. Now, are you telling me that you were fulfilled in the detail that you learned?
No, we called out. Details are scarce. That was a negative, and it's a reason to stop. We want more details. But to me, with Musk and Tesla, in an event like that, you're maybe not going to get as many details right there as you'd want. But the reason we came out so positive, in terms of the test drives, and if you look at Cybercab, and you look now at production, and this is real. We're not talking prototype. 2026, they start to produce this. We go into next year, this starts to become more and more of a reality, and it all comes down to us, FSD. FSD penetration increases within Tesla. The story massively changes.
When do you need more details? When do you sit back and you say, you know what, I've given the benefit of the doubt on this story, whereas many of the others who cover this stock have not.
Sure.
When do you want details?
Well, I think by later this year, early next year, you basically need to have some details on when the lower cost vehicle is coming out, what production looks like, what, in terms of Cybercab and overall FSD, what the rollout is going to look like throughout 2025, and most importantly, COGS, because the whole goal here is that Tesla's going to be able to decrease COGS significantly, especially with the next-gen platform. If that happens, then you get numbers into the next year or two. I think they're underestimated by 40, 50%. That's what we need to see. If we sit here 6 months from now and they didn't give us that, then at that point, you probably do have to reevaluate things. But I think they have a lot more coming than they ever have in the story, if I think back the last few years.
Turning our gaze to broader implications, one can't sideline how Musk's financial saga shoulders conversations over wealth inequality. Tesla's wealth engine, reflective of broader market behaviors, highlights sharp wealth divides. As CNBC reports and economic pundits like James Pethokoukis indicate, this isn't just about muscling into wealth. It's the richest growing slice of the American financial pie. Musk leads, yes, but he also spotlights a vital dialogue, taxing the exponentially wealthy. The landscape, thus, isn't merely economic. It's evolving into a moral and fiscal narrative replete with tensions over policy and wealth equitability. Perhaps Musk's view mirrors Edward Abbey's take on growth. It's the ideology of the cancer cell. Exponential stock market yields, after all, can carry risks as significant as their rewards. Tesla, soaring from $30 per share to near $300 within pandemic windows, surely testifies to that. Yet it begs a perennial investor question: when to courageously hold and when to prudently fold. This financial drama's crescendo looks toward Musk's rumored trillionaire status by 2027, based on projections that hinge heavily on Tesla's stock future. Proponents of this view foresee a historic wealth threshold, where Musk doesn't just lead, he transcends into the peculiar realms of the ultra-wealthy, the first to breach trillion-dollar ceilings. This could set a precedent, repositioning stock gains and their socio-economic impacts squarely under global scrutiny. As tweets and digital chatter echo with analysis and predictions, it surfaces one undeniable truth. Whether you love it or debate it, Musk's trajectory is a financial firework igniting discussions from Wall Street to living rooms worldwide. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
Dan, what are we going to get? Are we going to get info on cost per mile overall, scaling the Cybercab? Are we going to get info on whether they have a ride-sharing app or insurance costs? I don't know. I want some details here. Are you going to get them?
Yeah, I think it's actually going to be heavy on details. I think importantly, this is really showing autonomous, in terms of true autonomous, as we go to level 4, level 5, this is really going to be a game changer for Tesla. And I think they're going to show on Cybercab and the rollout, I think by the end of next year, this is something within certain cities that will be, ultimately a reality. And I think when you actually start to go through per mile and you look at miles driven, I think from a fleet perspective, even relative to what we see with Waymo and everyone else, I think it's a new chapter for Tesla. You do not walk away, shrug the shoulders. I think this is a game changer.
You do. All right. So do you think you're going to walk away with enough information to put a model together, a discounted cash flow model or something based on your own assumptions in terms of where this thing goes, that you can start to come to a number in terms of per share as to what it's going to mean for the company?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's really, okay, what's the timetable? Now, clearly, obviously, some of the promises in the past have not worked out here. I think we're talking not just by the end of next year, but what's the ramp over the next few years, 3 to 4 years? What could that mean in terms of for the fleet? 6 million cars out there, potentially 8 or 10 over the next few years. What ultimately does that mean? This is pure margins. This is really building out a whole new business for Tesla. And I think we could be looking at something based on our math, 3-4 years out. This could be 20-30% overall profits.
20 to 30% overall profits for of the company's profits will be from their effort here. I mean, you say that it represents $1 trillion of value for Tesla over the coming years. How do you get to that number?
I mean, I just look at FSD, look at autonomous relative to cars on the road. This is not just for Tesla. It's our view that they're ultimately going to OEM this technology. And when you look at even some of the numbers out there, I mean, we could be talking about 10, 20 billion annually per year that they're starting to ultimately deliver when this ultimately gets to scale. And I don't view this necessarily as a massive threat to Uber, but just look what Uber did in rideshare. So I think when we look at the broader market here and ultimately the software driven and the margins, I view this will be a day we look back at 3-4 years from now that actually start to change the next phase of the Tesla story.
You don't worry, Dan, about the regulatory approval needed for autonomous vehicles on a state-by-state basis, which is where they're given. I guess 29 states and Washington, D.C. currently have autonomous vehicle operation mandates. And I guess there are certain friendlier states like Texas. But isn't that a factor here?
Oh, clear. Look, I think David's question on the cost per mile, that's something I'd expect to hear about. And that's important in terms of what we're looking at. Regulatory is the biggest hurdle. And I think that's something state by state on the federal side, they're going to have work cut out for them. But that is something, I think it starts tonight, but over the coming 12, 18, 24 months, I think regulatory ultimately is something that they're going to be able to sort of navigate through. And I think that's the important thing tonight. Not just the technology, showing how we get there, what the roadmap is.
So, what's the verdict on Tesla amidst this whirlwind of speculation and financial theatrics? Musk's remarkable rise, tethered subtly yet powerfully to Tesla's prospects, makes a case that could sway even the most skeptical investor. The dance of stock fluctuations notwithstanding, Tesla stands resilient, carving a path that mirrors not just bold innovation, but also consequential legacy. Forecasts from market analysts provide an optimistic outlook, hinting at Tesla's robust potential to rebound and reward its stalwarts richly in the coming fiscal chapters. Positioned now as a bastion of innovation, Tesla invites one to envision future dividends not just as numbers, but as echoes of strategic courage and technological foresight. Nevertheless, one must weigh. Is betting on Tesla akin to aligning oneself with a visionary compass? In closing, the narrative encircling Tesla and Musk is more than numbers and headlines. It's a saga awash with grandeur, risk, and infinite possibilities. But the million-dollar question remains. Would you place your chips alongside Musk in this high-stakes financial saga? Share your thoughts and dare to speculate. Perhaps the next market twist could very well depend on perspectives as vibrant as yours. And finally, if you would like to know what companies like Tesla have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen.